Donald Trump has often relied on bombastic speeches and unconventional political tactics to galvanize his base. However, as the 2024 election unfolds, he may be facing his greatest challenge yet: women. If there's one group that Trump should have been careful not to alienate, it's women, and recent trends indicate that his dismissive approach to female voters and their rights may ultimately backfire. As the data comes in, it reveals a historic turnout among female voters across critical swing states, marking an unprecedented gender gap in early voting. The surge in women casting ballots, many galvanized by reproductive rights and broader societal concerns, signals that Trump's campaign could be derailed by the very demographic he underestimated. This video will analyze the cascading effects of female voter turnout, explore Trump's attempts to sideline reproductive issues, and dive into why the relentless drive from women voters may become the death knell for his campaign. Let's explore the data, trends, and reasons why the female vote is shaping up to be one of the biggest stories of the 2024 election and a defining factor in its outcome. 1. Record female turnout. The numbers tell the story. According to early voting data, female turnout in key swing states has hit historic highs, with women voting at rates that substantially outpace men. As of Friday, data showed that over 9.5 million early votes were cast in 7 pivotal states, and of these, 55.1% were by women, compared to 44.9% by men. This gender gap has grown in just a matter of days, underscoring the momentum among female voters. In states like Michigan and Pennsylvania, the turnout disparity between genders has reached double-digit figures, pointing to a phenomenon where women are mobilizing in unprecedented ways. These turnout rates are especially significant in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Wisconsin, with Michigan experiencing a plus 14-point gap favoring women. Pennsylvania follows closely with a plus 13-point gap, and even traditionally conservative states like Georgia are witnessing a plus 12-point gap. The factors behind this surge are multilayered, with concerns about reproductive rights, gender equality, and overall societal safety acting as powerful motivators. Political strategist Stuart Stevens notes that early voting data offers a sample size of millions, rather than the hundreds or thousands typically seen in polling. This substantial female voter turnout isn't speculative, it's concrete and record-breaking. As Stevens states, this is not theoretical or speculative, highlighting that these numbers are a genuine reflection of what could happen on Election Day. 2. Trump's miscalculation on reproductive rights, a political Achilles heel. Since the Supreme Court's controversial decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, reproductive rights have reemerged as a central issue for many Americans, especially women. Trump's stance, which has often minimized the significance of reproductive freedom, has proven to be a costly miscalculation. Rather than softening his approach, Trump has doubled down, suggesting that Americans care more about issues like the economy, border security, and inflation than about access to abortion services. However, this dismissive attitude does not align with the sentiments of millions of women who are directly affected by reproductive health policies. A recent CNN poll indicates that Vice President Kamala Harris leads Trump by 12 points in terms of honesty and trustworthiness, and by 6 points on empathy and putting the country first. This data reflects a broader trend. Many Americans, especially women, feel more connected to Harris and her empathetic stance on reproductive rights than to Trump's detached rhetoric. 3. Polling versus reality. Why traditional polls may be underestimating the female vote. Polling data has shown mixed results, with some national polls suggesting a close race, while others, particularly those considering early voting, show Harris with a strong lead. This disparity could be explained by the fact that traditional polls often assume demographics similar to past elections, including an expectation that men, white voters, older voters, and Republicans will represent a larger share of the electorate. However, early voting data paints a different picture, with younger voters, especially young women, turning out in droves. Harvard's presidential poll shows a staggering gap among voters aged 18 to 29, with 60% supporting Harris compared to only 32% for Trump. This trend signifies a shift from the 2020 election, with more young voters, especially women, showing an intense interest in the outcome of this year's race, likely driven by concerns over reproductive and gender-related issues. 4. Kamala Harris's rising popularity among women. Why it matters. Vice President Kamala Harris has capitalized on Trump's missteps with women voters, making reproductive rights a cornerstone of her campaign. Her empathy and direct approach resonate with women across the nation. At rallies, including one in Houston, Harris has emphasized the human impact of restrictive abortion policies, recounting stories of women suffering or even dying due to lack of access to reproductive health care. By keeping the focus on issues that directly impact women, Harris has generated a groundswell of support. Former First Lady Michelle Obama joined Harris in Michigan, underscoring the seriousness of reproductive rights and urging men to understand how these issues affect not only women but entire families and communities. Obama's powerful rhetoric has helped to bridge the gap, making it clear that this election's outcome will have tangible consequences for everyone, not just women. 5. The influence of celebrity and public figures on Harris's campaign. Harris's campaign has also benefited from high-profile endorsements from public figures and celebrities, including Beyoncé. These endorsements have broadened her appeal, drawing attention to the issues central to her platform. Conversely, Trump has responded with resentment, often criticizing Harris's celebrity endorsements at his rallies. This approach may backfire. While Trump's base might cheer his attacks on Hollywood and the media, these endorsements are helping Harris build momentum, especially among young voters who feel culturally connected to these public figures. The positive messaging from influential women on reproductive rights and gender equality continues to galvanize female voters, contributing to the enthusiasm that may very well define this election. 6. The long-term implications of gendered voting trends. The high turnout among female voters in this election marks a significant shift in American politics. It reflects not only dissatisfaction with Trump's policies, but also a broader movement among women advocating for their rights and representation in government. Political analysts predict that this trend could reshape American politics for years to come, with women, particularly young and minority women, taking a more active role in the electoral process. This shift could pose challenges for candidates who take hardline stances on issues like reproductive rights and gender equality. If Harris's campaign continues to mobilize women voters successfully, it may serve as a blueprint for future candidates, emphasizing the importance of addressing gender-specific concerns and advocating for policies that protect and empower women. 7. Trump's response. Why his attempt to downplay reproductive rights may fail. Faced with the mounting evidence of female voter mobilization, Trump has attempted to downplay the significance of reproductive rights, suggesting that the issue is no longer a major concern for Americans. However, polling data indicates otherwise, and Trump's approach may come across as tone-deaf to the millions of women who've been affected by recent restrictions on abortion access. By dismissing reproductive rights as a non-issue, Trump risks alienating a significant portion of the electorate. Trump's inability to address these concerns meaningfully has led some Republican voters to reconsider their support. In Pennsylvania, for instance, some lifelong Republicans have voiced their disapproval of Trump's divisive rhetoric and stance on women's issues. For these voters, Trump's comments about America being a garbage can and his continuous attacks on women serve as stark reminders of why they believe he is unfit for office. As Election Day draws nearer, it is clear that women will play a pivotal role in determining the outcome of the 2024 presidential race. Driven by concerns over reproductive rights, gender equality, and societal safety, female voters are showing up in record numbers, with early data indicating a historic gender gap. Trump's dismissive stance on these issues and his failure to connect with women voters may ultimately cost him the election. In contrast, Kamala Harris's empathetic approach and unwavering focus on the issues that matter most to women have resonated with a broad base of supporters, positioning her as a candidate who truly understands and advocates for the needs of all Americans. This election may very well go down in history as a turning point, where women's voices redefine the political landscape, challenging the status quo and paving the way for a more inclusive and representative government. For Trump, the surge in female voter turnout could indeed be his worst nightmare, unfolding in real time as millions of women head to the polls determined to make their voices heard.